Hello everyone, back with some more thrift store finds and their mountain of media from the Goodwill bargain bin, starting off with a handful of Blu-ray, getting to tons of DVDs and a bunch of book and music finds as well. We have on Blu-ray the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2, Fast and Furious 6, The Woman in Black 2, Angel of Death, Loris Foster Jenkins, The A-Team, the movie, The Crods. This is a movie that I forgot existed, never seen it. I just remember randomly seeing like a preview when it was coming out, and it just kind of disappeared. Never knew anyone who saw it. One of those weird DreamWorks ones that are just kind of out of left field. A 4-movie laugh pack, a bunch of classic comedy movies with a romance angle, a handful of good kind of documentary type stuff in here today. We have the history of Rothenburg Oder Tomber, narrated by the Night Watchman. Interesting. A bunch of the Civil War, A Nation Divided. This is from the American Heritage series. It's a 5-part documentary series. And from the Great Courses set, I have a few of these and a few that I've listened to over the years. They're kind of cool to get basically a free kind of college lecture course, or cheap whenever you find these DVDs. The Late Middle Ages, a 2-volume set. I forget how many hours it is total, but it's crazy. But you end up with a 12-disc set full of lectures all about the late Middle Ages. From the 5-star collection, we have Independence Day, the 2-disc set, Humboldt County, Harvard Man. Never heard of this one before, but I'll give it a watch. It looks like it's probably going to be terrible, but pretty much anything with Sarah Michelle Gellar I'll watch once, so I'll give it a shot. Tales from the Crypt, the 1st season. This is the re-release. I actually kind of look at this compared to our set because we have the older set, so we'll see if this is for the store roster or whatever. But Tales from the Crypt, the complete 1st season. Tales of Tomorrow, Volume 1, which is an old sci-fi anthology series. Endless Love, part of the Best of the 80s pack, with a nice little slipcover. That's pretty cool and nostalgic. Resurrection is Their Life After Death. The Natural. The Jeff Foxworthy Show, I believe 1st season. The Dark Knight, 2-disc collector's edition. First Pirates movie. Good People. Suicide Kings. A Sesame Street Learning 3-pack, a 3-DVD set of Sesame Street, March of the Penguins, Chicken Run, The Ring 2, Anacondas, Rugged Gold, the Peter Jackson King Kong, the 2nd Pirates movie, Blades of Glory, The Tourist, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Quantum of Solace, How to Train Your Dragon. I think that live-action, terrible-looking thing is coming out pretty soon, isn't it? Die Hard with a Vengeance, X-Men: The Last Stand, August Rush, The Family Man, Life as a House, Dodgeball, Miracle on 34th Street, the one with, what's her name, Matilda, that version of the movie, Spider-Man, Austin Powers, A Spy Who Shagged Me, still my favorite of the 3. The first one is pretty close. The 3rd one definitely not as good as the first 2, but yeah, always kind of a preference for that one. Best of the Red Skeleton Show, Volume 1, Earth to Echo. You Got Served and Stomp the Yard, double feature. Meteor. Holes. The Grudge, another Sarah Michelle Gellar. That actually was half decent as far as an Americanized remake of a Japanese movie. Happens all the time. Most of them are pretty terrible. This is okay. It's something a little different. Saw that one a couple of times. Collateral Damage. Strike Force, Richard Gere. Planet of the Apes. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes. First of those. This is the first one. Yeah, Rise. Yeah, the newer ones. The Great Rupert. This weird Christmas movie with a squirrel. Seen a couple of times. The Fugitive, Harrison Ford, classic. The Attack on Pearl Harbor, A Day of Infamy, a sealed 2-disc documentary collection. And the D-Day Invasion, March to Victory. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Predator, For the Love of the Game. Gumby's Greatest Adventures. Michael Moore's Sicko. The Brothers Bloom. Some of the Transformers Armada series flashbacks. Disney's Alice in Wonderland. The Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events. Catching Fire, one of the Hunger Games movies. Another Pirates, Dead Man's Chest. Batman Begins. Click. Night at the Museum, the second one, Battle of Space. I never saw that one, saw the first one, it was pretty decent. Meet the Parents. Riding in Cars with Boys. Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift. 27 Dresses. The Matrix Revolutions. Then we have this Annabelle Hopper and the Ghosts of Nantucket. Includes 2 bonus movies. Some kind of family fantasy collection there. First, Iron Man, Moscow on the Hudson, Robin Williams, Sleeping Beauty, and Barbie Princess Charm School. Crazy Stupid Love, Tombstone, Madagascar. This is cool. The Star Trek Borg Fan Collective. I have this set as well. It's a really good collection of a bunch of Borg-themed episodes from the different Star Trek series. There's one from Enterprise, a bunch of TNG, of course, and Voyager then. And obviously no TOS or Deep Space Nine because there was no Borg. This is a really, really cool collection. One of my personal favorites. Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Paranoia. Alex Cross. Inglourious Bastards. Sweet 16, A Journey into Teen Diabetes. Looks like a documentary. Elizabethtown. The Mr. Deeds remake. Casino Royale. A Cartoon Craze presents Christmas Cartoons, Volume 1. Looks like a list of 7 different classic Christmas-themed cartoons. Wayne's World. Cleo and Theo. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is one of my wife's favorite movies. Actually, is surprisingly funny. It's a pretty decent movie. Talladega Nights, Underworld Evolution, Almost Famous, The Third Wish with Betty White, Eddie Murphy Raw, Ice Age, the first one of those, Patrick Swayze in Tiger Warsaw, never heard of this one, Dinner for Schmucks, An Officer and a Gentleman, and A Dirty Carnival. A handful of comedies on VHS. We have Mallrats, the remake of Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. One of the few times that a much sillier, cornier remake I think is better than the original. It's funnier than the original. I don't know. Not everyone's going to agree, but this is one of the few times where I definitely prefer the remake. Half Baked, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Tights, and Down Periscope. This is one of those weird movies that, if you've ever seen this with Kelsey Grammer, that for some reason, there were a couple people in my family who were like obsessed with this movie. So on VHS, I've probably seen this 100 times in the 90s into the very early 2000s, to where it was kind of funny the first few times. I actually genuinely liked it, but it's one of those that after a while, if I sat through this again, I probably wouldn't laugh once, just because it was overdone. Have you ever had that experience with the movie? That rarely happens with comedies for me too. Like, there are a lot of classic comedies that I could see once or twice a year, every year for the rest of my life, and still laugh every time. Like the Peter Sellers, Pink Panther movies, a lot of things from the 30s, all those great comedies. But every once in a while, there's some, like Borat's another good example, that when that came out, it was one of those, like, it's so stupid, but it's funny. It was kind of the it movie everyone watched at parties. But after a while, like, the joke just ran dry for me. This is one of those for me too, where I actually kind of liked it. I remember when we first kind of rented, I think, on VHS when it first came out to the rental market after theaters, and then we bought it, and there were a couple people that were just obsessed with it in my family, and it overwatched it to where I don't think I could ever enjoy it again. One of those just kind of weird things with a bunch of comedies on VHS, always good to find. Don't find a whole lot of VHS lately. One random thing for getting into some of the music stuff I found just kind of sitting in there with the DVDs is Prince of Persia 3D from Computer Gaming World. It's an old PC 95 and 98 demo disc that has December demo releases as demos of Prince of Persia 3D. That was a pretty good one as far as the Prince of Persia, as I played that on the Dreamcast. We have Homeworld, Expert Pool, Mob Rule, Delta Force 2, Battlezone 2, Pharaoh, Pit Droids, and Tachyon, as well as complete guides to System Shock 2 and Dungeon Keeper 2. Dungeon Keeper 2 is one of the best PC games ever. So yeah, interesting little collection there of demos. One cassette with Mariah Carey Fantasy, and a handful of CDs. Samantha Mumba, never never heard of her before. But went ahead and grabbed that. Josh Groban, just kind of sitting in there with the DVDs for a couple of pennies a piece. Mindy McCready, and Point of Grace, Turn Up the Music, the hits of Point of Grace, as well as 2 cassette box sets that are in there with their accompanying like pamphlet and programs and things. They're pretty cool with this from the American musicals, the Rodgers and Hammerstein of Oklahoma, Carousel, and South Pacific. It was a Time Life series. These were pretty cool, and they're nice, complete with their manuals and everything. That one, and the Frank Loesser with Guys and Dolls, The Most Happy Fella, and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. So some classic musicals. It's pretty cool on some audio cassette box sets. And then as far as books, starting off with the big beast here, this huge box set, hardcover collector's edition with some illustrations and stuff. Is a really nice set of War and Peace. One of those novels that it's a must-read once, but you probably would never again. But yeah, definitely a really cool big box set version of that. Then we have the Physics of the Buffyverse, Razzle Dazzle, some Charlene Harris, The Red Badge of Courage, some Nevermore, I Kissed Dating Goodbye, The Guardian, A Wrinkle in Time, great classic, Bartimaeus, Graveyard Dust, one of the iCarly books, Vampire Diaries, The Struggle, The World's Strangest True Ghost Stories vintage kids book, Anne Rice, Queen of the Damned, A Ghoul's Guide to Love and Murder, and Assassin, the Lady of Grace Mysteries. Then I made a couple other stops, some stuff I had to do, and went to a new to us, actually it's a new kind of grand reopening, a new location of a thrift store. I don't know if I'd go again. It's a little out of the way for the selection. It wasn't very great, but we'll see someday maybe. But they did have one thing that I had to grab when I was there. They had Nickelodeon's Hey Dude, complete season 2, 2-disc set. It's crazy how short that is. But yeah, Hey Dude on Nickelodeon from 89 to 91. Not one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows, but one that I definitely remember watching in those early days of Nickelodeon. So when I saw that, I couldn't resist grabbing that for the collection. So that was at least worth the stop. But yeah, this morning it was good to see the bins were great. I actually have been back a couple of times since the last one of these videos that I did, but they weren't particularly great. I don't always show things that I find because sometimes it's stuff that wouldn't be of interest to my audience. Really, it's not the typical wheelhouse of things, or it just wasn't that great and I just don't feel like doing it. But this is finally then, all right, good. Another good day. Always exciting to happen after a little bit of a dry spell to have a pretty solid morning. I hope you're having a great week as well, and I'll see you around.